good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Treffler. And we are The Sound. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We're happy to have you here, and we're happy to be here with you. We got a great show today, a lot of stuff planned, very NBA basketball heavy show today. Not a lot of NFL talk, so if you're here for some football, sorry to disappoint. Too much going on in the association. League's been kind of quiet recently.
It has.
Hopkins stuff was the big thing going on, but it's been, other than that, it's been relatively quiet. So, we got a Game 2 recap for you today. We got some Philadelphia 76ers discussion, our soundbite for the day, today's top 5. It's going to be a great show. So, without further ado, let's just get right going. Go right into it. So, Game 2 of the NBA Finals, 111-108. Miami takes Game 2. Evening the series 1-1. Congratulations
to your Miami Heat.
Thank you. I just showed this to Steve before we started talking. I got my Heat mug today. Little
sipping on some excellence.
Little celebration, sipping on some excellence. Jimmy Butler, 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists. Bam with 21 points as well, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. So both guys with 21, 4, and 9, some way, somehow. Gabe Vincent, 23 points and 2 steals to add. Those are the Heat's top 3 performers. On the Denver side, Jokic with 41, 11, and 4. Jamal Murray, 18, 4, and 10. Aaron Gordon adding 12 points and 7 rebounds. Jokic also led the game in turnovers with 5. I found out through the box score. Yeah. So, a lot going on in this game. Actually, there's not a lot going on in this game. Steve and I, like to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. After Game 1 and Game 2, Steve and I have a little conversation, talk about what we saw, exchange our thoughts, get stuff ready for the show today. We both said that this game was no energy from Miami. There was no sense of urgency, and Denver just looked more talented. But now you're wondering, well, they won, so how bad could it have been? I don't think Miami is capable of self-motivating. They deal well with adversity. They deal well with being counted out and being rooted against. You go up 3-0 on Boston, you got nothing to worry about. Everyone's talking about the bubbles vindicated. Jimmy getting his respect as a superstar. Drop 3, and then now you got to kind of work a little bit to not be an NBA embarrassment. Win Game 4. Come into Game 1 with a lot of praise. No energy, no effort. We talked about Jimmy Butler not being there. Drop it. This was not a Heat win. This was a Denver loss. So, in the first 3 quarters, Denver has scored 167 points in Games 1 and Game 2. Combined, in the first 3 quarters, they have 167 points. Miami, through the first 3 quarters in both games, had 148 points, making about a 19-point differential. In just the fourth quarter, Miami has outscored Denver by 21 points in just the fourth quarter. What I think happened was that Denver became lackadaisical. They let off the gas a little bit, and Miami got hot at the right time and capitalized. They had not played hard the first 3 quarters. Again, where is Jimmy Butler? I don't know. Now, the shooters stepped up and did better in Game 2, which we said was a necessary thing. But I also said that what wins you NBA championships, Steve?
Defense.
And superstars.
Superstars, that's right.
Defense and superstars wins NBA championships. Jimmy Butler is the Miami Heat superstar. He needs to do something. Jimmy Butler was not aggressive last night. And I think there was something, he shot a lot. It looked like in his body, he looked uncomfortable. Had no fouls. Cameron, why is that a bad thing? If you can go an entire NBA game, 48 minutes, and not foul someone, you're not up on them being aggressive, being the elite defender that you are known as for the majority of your career. He also had a plus-minus of +3. Cameron, he was 3 points better. Why is it a bad thing? Why is my superstar only making my team 3 points better on the court? Why? So, I say all that to kind of say this, to go kind of the opposite way. Now they got one game under their belt. It's going to go into Miami with that, hey, we stole one from them. no one thought we could do that. We're going to go home. We're going to keep going. That is what they need to be great, which they are not capable of manifesting themselves. The Heat being that, like I said, that no one believes in us, we're going to outwork you energy. If they don't have that, they are not the same team. This is the regular season Heat right now, which is not good enough to win a championship. So I need to see more from Jimmy Butler, and I need the Heat, it's going to sound weird, to be better at motivating. They need to be able to self-motivate and not just use the outside noise to carry them to play great games.
One thing that struck me as interesting about last night's game, though, and I went back and looked, in these 2023 playoffs, Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets are 0-3 when Jokic has 40 points or more. Eric Spoelstra changed the way that they were playing defense on Jokic. Instead of Bam Adebayo being all up on him and smothering him when he has the ball, he gave him 2 to 3 feet and dared Jokic to be offensive. And instead of Jamal Murray taking 20 shots like he has 4 out of his last 5 games, I believe, Jamal Murray took 15 shots and had under 20 points. All 5 of their starters were in minus in the plus minus. When Nikola Jokic is not getting the rest of the Denver Nuggets involved, that's why I believe the Denver Nuggets didn't win last night. And that Eric Spoelstra had the Heat ready with a game plan on defense to do exactly that. What do you make of the benching of Caleb Martin?
You got to earn your spot. Listen, Caleb Martin, no one would have or could have expected his surgence in the conference finals. It's not working right now in the finals. I mean, he took 3 shots in 20 minutes last night. We've always talked about, youth in the finals and the playoffs isn't a great thing. I don't want to rely on that. So, I think it's just Eric Spoelstra. He's recognizing that he had the special sauce last round. Now he doesn't. We got to find someone else who does and what works. That's what makes Spoelstra so great. He knows how to adapt and how to take what he had with his roster and make the best out of it, no matter who it is or how it's constructed. How I think the rest of the series is going to go. We both said Denver in 6. Right now, it's obviously 1-1. I think Miami wins game 3, first one at home. Then they drop one at home because I think that magic motivation will be gone. And then they go back to Denver, and Denver just wins their next 2 at home. And that's going to be it. Game 3 will be in Miami, Wednesday, June 7th at 8:30, which we need to address this very quickly. I want to apologize to the sports world for giving you wrong information. I was sitting here at home yesterday. All of a sudden, I get a notification saying that the game started. And I'm like, it's only 8 o'clock. What do you mean the game's starting? So my apologies, but I just double-checked. 8:30, Wednesday, June 7th in Miami. We'll be watching and we'll be reporting. Moving on to our next block, everyone's favorite segment, Soundbite. In case you didn't see our last episode, Soundbite is a segment where Steve and I react to a clip of someone's post-game comments. Maybe they say something on a podcast, say something pregame, whatever it is. Someone said something interesting that we want to take a listen to. We listen. So for today's Soundbite, Nuggets head coach Michael Malone talking post-game about what he thought about Denver's game and their level of effort in game 2. So let's take a listen to that.
We had guys out there that were just, whether feeling sorry for themselves for not making shots or thinking they can just turn it on or off. This is not the preseason. This is not the regular season. It's not round. This is the NBA Finals. And that to me is really, really perplexing, disappointing. And I asked the team, I asked our player, you guys tell me why we lost. And they knew the answer. If we're going to try to go down there and regain control of this series and get home court advantage back, we're going to have to outwork Miami, which we didn't do tonight. And our discipline is going to have to be off the charts. As I mentioned after game 1, the fact that they got 16 wide open threes was concerning. They didn't make them. And so we got lucky in game 1. Tonight they made them. In the fourth quarter, you give up 36 points on 69% from the field. That's not going to cut it, man. That's not going to cut it. And to me, the wheels fell off, really fell off to start that fourth quarter. Just our inability or unwillingness to get stops and have a defensive mindset in the fourth quarter was very problematic. There's a great chance that we don't get a quality shot like Jamal got, which was online and from my perspective, looked like it had a great chance of going in. And we've seen Jamal make shots like that before. So I felt in that transition, we're going to have the best chance to get the look that we wanted.
All right, so there you have it. Head coach of the Denver Nuggets, Michael Malone, talking about what he thought of Denver's effort and their play in Game 3. Steve, your initial reaction to today's soundbite?
He consistently talked about how the first 3 quarters felt like a completely separate game than the fourth quarter. And last night, I told you the same thing. Mike Malone said the first 3 quarters, the Miami Heat shot 43%. And then in the fourth quarter, they had 36 points on 63% shooting. You mentioned as well earlier that the Miami Heat have outscored the Denver Nuggets by 21 points in the fourth quarter. Another thing he mentioned, the Heat never give up. That's something that Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley really dig into the Heat players and dig into that franchise. And it just says something about the Miami Heat that even though they looked as bad as they did the first 3 quarters, that fourth quarter, they didn't give up.
I've never really known where to properly rank Michael Malone as an NBA head coach. Like, I knew he was always really good. Didn't know where he ranked as far as the pedigree.
Right.
Michael Malone is a player's coach, and Michael Malone is someone who, it's a weird dynamic when you think about it. The NBA is a bunch of grown men listening to another grown man, which is, I mean, that's what sports is, fun. But Michael Malone strikes me as someone who, no matter what level he's at or who he's coaching, like, he's going to demand the respect of the locker room, and he's going to demand accountability. And he just seems like a really good, strong-willed and strong-minded basketball coach. But his press conference made me more hesitant and more wary of the Heat than ever, because he said the same 2 things over and over and over again in that press conference. And that was the Nuggets lacked effort and discipline, and they just let the Heat shoot too much. He gave the Heat zero credit in the fact that, like, yeah, they came out and beat us. He mentioned that they're hardworking and that they don't give up, all that good stuff. But we knew that already, like that you had mentioned from Miami. He also said that the Heat came out in the fourth quarter in desperation mode, really giving them no credit as to why it was they lost the game. That sounds like the Heat were throwing up shots and the Nuggets weren't defending them and they were making them. I mentioned earlier that I didn't agree with the no timeout call for Jamal Murray, but after hearing his explanation of we trust Jamal, he makes those shots, I really respect the awareness to say Miami has been beating us in a half-court defense. Let's not let them get set up and just trust Murray to beat them. Jamal Murray is a underrated and becoming one of his own high-level playoff performers. After him explaining it, I am okay with the no timeout call, but I'm really not okay with him just saying, yeah, we gave that one up, which is what happened. I agree. But like I said, that just makes me more disappointed as a Heat fan, being like, yeah, that is really what happened. And it's coming right from someone who was right there watching the game. I am not excited about us going forward, going into Game 3.
I agree, and I can see why that is your feeling. Hey, I got a little breaking news for you.
Okay.
Shams Charania just reported that Kyrie Irving has reached out to LeBron James about playing for the Mavs 9 minutes ago.
Kyrie Irving. I don't care. I just flatly don't care. That means nothing to me. That I don't care. That was the most useless piece of information. Moving on to the Philadelphia 76ers, a trending team, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of unease in the city of brotherly love. For those of you that are not aware, I don't know if we ever made it to that, but Steve is a Philadelphia 76ers fan. We're based out of Pennsylvania. I don't actually know if we ever said that either, but yeah. So his hometown team, a lot of stuff going on. Hard might be leaving. Hard might not be leaving. Another failure with Embiid. Brand new head coach. Steve, just your overall thoughts on what's going on in Philadelphia right now.
The first thing that I'll say is the hiring of Nick Nurse was an absolute steal for the Sixers. The hiring of Nick Nurse is, I think, going to be the most impactful off-season acquisition for the Sixers. I don't want that to be, but I think it's going to be. Even though they need to do this, I believe they're not going to trade Tyrese Maxey. I believe they're going to pick up Tobias Harris's player option, or he's going to pick it up and stay. And I think that somehow, some way, James Harden find a way to keep him, because Nick Nurse has made a pitch to keep James Harden, a guy who has not shown me that he is worthy of a $100 million contract that we're considering giving him. The Sixers are in win now mode. They need to go out and get a guy like Damian Lillard, who you can pair with Joel Embiid. What has been proven to us in history is that Joel Embiid cannot be the Batman when the playoffs start. And they need to find a guy who is going to be able to take that weight off of him. And I'm sorry, but if we are putting the hopes and dreams of the Philadelphia 76ers in the hands of Tyrese Maxey, what everyone else is seeing that he's going to become some superstar for us, I am not seeing. Cam, to be quite frank with you, I don't know what I feel. But what I will say is I'm not excited, because if we keep the same players that we had last year, I don't think Nick Nurse is enough to get us over the hump. Keeping the pieces that we have without adding an acquisition in the offseason, Nick Nurse to the Sixers doesn't equal a championship to me.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Nurse is a great start. He's a championship pedigree head coach, but coaching was part of the Sixers' problem, and Doc Rivers got a lot of the blame and responsibility for the Sixers' failure this season. But it's more than that. I mean, Embiid has proven to us and Philadelphia that come playoffs, he doesn't have it. Philadelphia loves investing in their youth and loves, once they have a team that they are excited for and connect with, like, that's all they want. Speaking as an Eagles fan, I know that's what it's like for Philadelphia fans. Once we got someone we really liked, like, he's ours, he's it. Now, I'm not saying trade Embiid. But what I am saying is you have to get someone in there who can be the Batman and Embiid be the Robin, in a sense of, hey, 2 minutes left in the game. We got to win this or go home. Someone's got to take over and get the ball. Embiid doesn't want that. He's not soft and, like, he's not tough, but, like, he does shy away from the moment and doesn't want the responsibility of, yeah, this is on me. Tyrese Maxey is cool. He is a very promising young player and one of the more valuable young pieces in the league. But if you want to put your hopes and dreams in Tyrese Maxey, then have fun waiting 5-6 more years for a championship. You as in Philadelphia have to decide if you want to win now or keep developing and win later. And you've been doing the win later thing for you. That's what the process was. And the last time you guys even made a conference finals was 2001.
Yep, it was also the last year we made the finals. So, and I'll end on this with the Sixers. Nick Nurse is probably the best head coach that Philadelphia has had in 20 years.
I can get behind that.
Amen.
And the big hope was Damian Lillard, but now he's got a new fancy house in Oregon. So I don't know if he's going anywhere.
I don't want to talk about the Sixers anymore. I'm getting depressed.
All right. Our closing segment for today is today's top 5, which, in case you missed that as well last episode, today's top 5 is a series Steve and I are going to do where we pick a top 5 in a context of sports, whatever that may be, changes by the day, and we show it to you and talk about it and explain it to you. So today's top 5, we have our agreed top 5 NBA players of all time. This is a preview of sorts to a series we're going to do where we present our top 30 NBA players ever at some point in the near future. But let's look at our top 5. Let's check out today's top 5. Here we got today's top 5, our 5 best NBA players ever. If you see something that you think is inherently wrong with our number 1 and number 2, there's something inherently wrong with you. And we are here to explain why what you're thinking is wrong. So number 1, LeBron James. And again, we're going to go through this kind of quick. This is something we're going to do later on. LeBron James, 4 finals MVPs, has won championships with different franchises, has the most All-NBAs of all time, the most All-Stars of all time, and has the greatest longevity of any athlete of any sport ever. He is the NBA's all-time leading scorer. He also has the most amount of points in the playoffs.
Most amount of playoff series victories all time.
8 straight NBA finals.
Yep. The longest prime ever.
I don't know what more you people want from LeBron than just absolute excellence for 20 years.
If you think that Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James, you sleep with your father.
Moving on to number 2, Michael Jordan. Now listen, there is nothing wrong with being number 2. It is perfectly okay to be the second best player ever. It's fine. Because Michael Jordan was really good. He was one of the most feared players ever, one of the greatest scorers ever, one of the greatest winners ever, 6 finals MVPs.
One of the greatest two-way players ever.
He has 10 straight All-NBA first teams. One of the greatest rookie seasons ever, to be honest with you.
Multiple time leading the NBA in scoring. Michael Jordan is the second greatest basketball player to ever play the game.
Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, Steve and I have had many conversations where we try to decide if maybe Kareem is the second greatest player ever. Kareem also with 6 rings, 5 or 6 MVPs. The second leading scorer of all time, was number 1 forever and ever and ever until the actual number 1 came along and took that from him. Only 2 finals MVPs, which hurts him a little bit from going into that number 2 spot, but undoubtedly, along with LeBron and Jordan, one of the greatest all-time winners ever. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, our third greatest player of all time. Number 4, Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard of all time. 5 rings in 9 appearances, a few MVPs as a rookie, starting at center in a Lakers playoff game and won the series. Someone who, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the same team, was the best player on that team. And even though his career is not as long as others, he played 10 years, made 9 finals. He undoubtedly is a top 5 player of all time. We got him at number 4.
Yeah, I mean, he was the first LeBron before LeBron existed. Their playing style, I think, is more comparable than when people try to compare Michael and LeBron. I would rather people compare LeBron and Magic, because the way that Magic would facilitate a game, the way that the ease that he would make his passes, from the moment Magic came into the league, he was one of the greatest players.
At number 5, we have Tim Duncan. Now, a lot of people, I don't think, really fully understand, again, how good Tim Duncan really was. There is a point in time in the NBA history where he is probably the greatest player in the league, over Kobe, over LeBron, over Shaq. He has made the playoffs every single year of his career where he is healthy. A winning percentage in the playoffs, 5 rings of his own, 3 finals MVPs, beat a LeBron James team twice. One of them was a sweep. One of the greatest rebounders ever. That's not really talked about a whole lot. Tim Duncan is one of the greatest rebounders ever. Also one of the greatest two-way big men ever. Maybe just singular, one of the best defenders ever. So Tim Duncan does not get enough praise for his accomplishments and what he was able to do with his time in the league. So we got Tim Duncan as the 5th greatest player of all time. But there you have it. Today's top 5. Our 5 best NBA players ever. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Tim Duncan. Today's top 5. And that's going to do it for us today. Probably a great show. We're so happy to have you here. Only the 2nd episode of The Sound. So things are only going to go up. We are only going to get better. There is nothing but success on our horizons. We thank you for being here today, for watching, for listening, for being a part of this journey with us. And always remember, if you have some doubts about your sports knowledge or need some intelligent sports information in your life, just listen to The Sound. We'll be here for you. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, afternoon, or evening. Stay safe. And we'll see you next time.
Now listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.